Netanyahu to cut U.S. visit short after 7 injured in Gaza rocket attack. Jerusalem, March 25. Reuters. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Monday he will cut short his trip to the United States after a rocket attack near Tel Aviv wounded 7 people. An Israeli Foreign Ministry spokesman said the projectile was fired from Gaza, an enclave controlled by the militant Hamas group, and Netanyahu said Israel would respond forcefully. Netanyahu, who arrived in Washington on Sunday for a 4-day visit ahead of an April 9 Israeli election, said he would fly home immediately after meeting President Donald Trump at the White House, as planned, later on Monday. The early morning attack on Mishmeret, an agricultural town north of Tel Aviv, came at a time of high tension ahead of the anniversary of Gaza border protests at the weekend, and Trump's expression of support for Israeli sovereignty over the occupied Golan Heights. In Mishmeret, one house was completely destroyed, and at least one other house and cars were left badly damaged. Video provided by Reuters. Israel's Magen David Adom ambulance service said it was treating 7 people, including an infant, a 3-year-old boy, a 12-year-old girl and a 60-year-old woman who was suffering from blast injuries, burns, and shrapnel wounds. The strike came minutes after the Israeli military activated air raid sirens in the area and said one rocket had been launched out of the Gaza Strip, a coastal territory 50 miles 80 kilometers away where Hamas and other factions possess such weapons. Smadar Castelnovo, a Mishmeret resident who lives opposite the destroyed house, said they were woken up shortly after 5 a.m. Police sealed off streets, and emergency services were working at the scene, as Israeli politicians visited to talk to media crews. Gaza bracing. There was no immediate claim of responsibility from Gaza, where Palestinians were preparing for Israeli retaliation. Israel told Palestinian officials it was closing all Gaza crossings as well as access to the sea from the blockaded territory. Yahya Sinwar, the head of the Islamist militant group Hamas in the coastal enclave, cancelled a planned public meeting scheduled for Monday afternoon, with Hamas officials citing developments. Netanyahu said his decision to return to Israel was made after he consulted with Israeli military and intelligence chiefs. He had been due to it, but early on Monday he set in. His chief rival in next month's election, centrist ex-general Benny Gantz, issued a statement accusing the rightist premier of having bankrupted Tel Aviv, Israel's commercial capital, and outlying communities had last come under a long-range rocket attack that caused casualties during the 2014 war with Hamas. 2 rockets were launched at Tel Aviv on March 14, but caused no injuries or damage. Israel blamed the latest attack follows disturbances involving Palestinian prisoners in southern Israel. Palestinian officials